Today, we touch on a topic that usually triggers many people: non-monogamy and its link to spirituality. The fact that people get so triggered by this topic exposes three deep-rooted programmed beliefs within the mind of humanity. The first belief is that intimate love should only be between two people. The second belief is that intimacy and love equals sex. So anyone who enters non-monogamy for spiritual reasons must be using spirituality as a means to manipulate people into sex, right? Number three, sex is dirty and wrong, so it doesn't have a place in spirituality. It is also pretty much always the males who receive most of the projected anger around this topic, and this exposes even more deep-rooted program beliefs. For instance, that men only care about sex, that men are manipulative, and that women are helpless and can't make their own decisions. We kindly ask you that for the duration of this video, you humor us and drop this programming to open your mind a little bit so that you can hear from our own experience without judgment how non-monogamy is not actually about what you believe it to be about, and it actually has many spiritual benefits. The intention of this video is not necessarily to convince you into being non-monogamous, but to help you drop your very ingrained program beliefs around intimacy, love, and sex. Firstly, let's clearly establish the difference between monogamy and non-monogamy. Monogamy is the traditional way of approaching intimate relationships. It is the pursuit of that one special person who you would like to spend the rest of your life with. Once you've found that person, you enter into a commitment with them that you are both to only have an intimate romantic relationship with each other and no one else. Non-monogamy is where one doesn't close themselves off to having many intimate romantic relationships. They may not necessarily have many intimate relationships, but they will never promise to be exclusive to anyone and close themselves off to the possibility of being intimate with multiple people. Let's also define what intimacy is. Intimacy does not mean sex. This is a common misunderstanding. Yes, intimacy requires the build-up and exchange of sexual energy, but that does not need to be expressed through physical intercourse. You see, sexual energy is also the energy of joy, playfulness, flirtiness, experimentation, and creativity. When you connect deeply with someone, you are being intimate with them. Sex is just one of many ways you can deeply connect with someone, but you can alternatively deeply connect by laughing together, flirting with each other, dancing together, playing together, being rebellious together, being creative together, even just through soft touch, eye gazing, or other tantric experiences. There are also more advanced techniques to feel yourself as the other person and let all illusions of separation fall away. It doesn't get more intimate than that. In this way, you can be intimate with any being, even trees and animals. Now, that is not to say that there aren't some people who enter non-monogamy just so that they can have lots of sex. But that has not been our experience, and the experience of our friends, as our souls chose non-monogamy for the opportunities for spiritual growth that will be outlined in this video. Now, we ask you, why do you believe that intimate love can only be exchanged between two people? Where did this belief come from? Non-monogamy is the declaration that you would like to deeply connect with more than just one being, and that you no longer want to restrict and limit love to just one person. Is this really so terrible? Limiting intimacy to only one person has actually contributed to you feeling separate from the rest of life, because you have closed yourself off from deeply connecting with the rest of life. To truly experience and feel the truth of oneness at all times, that is, that you are everything and everyone, then you must be open to experiencing a deep connection with everything and everyone, and you can't really do this if you are monogamous. And if you simply just think about the truth of oneness for a moment, if you are everything and everyone, then any intimate relationship is always between you and yourself. So why would you be open to being intimate with one manifestation of yourself, but not others? By only allowing yourself to be intimate with one person, you are basically indirectly saying that I only want to deeply connect with this aspect of myself and not others. I favor this part of me more than the other parts. Again, this contributes to the belief in separation, and it greatly reduces your ability to love, accept, and deeply connect with all aspects of yourself. You see, your ego which is the energetic parasite that has taken over your being and made you believe that you are an individual mind-body character that is separate from the rest of life. This ego wants to feel special. If someone sees you as special, that means they have put you on a pedestal above others, and this makes the ego feel superior and powerful. It solidifies the belief that you are separate from others, and the ego's existence rests on this very belief. So specialness is a way to feed the ego and make it seem more real. Therefore, monogamy is for egos who want to feel special. To be non-monogamous, you must drop the pursuit of feeling special. A non-monogamous person enters an intimate connection to discover the same oneness, themselves, the divine, within the other person. If we are all one, then no one can be special, because there is no one else that exists to feel superior to. A truly non-monogamous person will enjoy the unique manifestations and set of attributes of each being, but with the ultimate knowing that beyond all these illusory manifestations is the same truth of oneness, that it is just you playing with yourself. So, entering non-monogamy is actually a way to starve the ego parasite within you, because you are basically declaring that I am not special and neither is anyone else. You cannot be truly non-monogamous unless you have somewhat dropped your ego a little bit. The commitment made between a monogamous couple is a way for the ego to try to secure a source of love forever. It actually comes from fear. You experience the feelings of love around someone, so you feel they are the cause of you feeling love. You attach to them and don't want them to not be in your life, so you do what you can to make them yours and no one else's. If they are not just yours, then to the ego, this means that there will be less love for you because the ego has made you believe that love is limited. There is not enough to go around, right? But when you possess something or someone, you restrict their freedom. So monogamy is an agreement to restrict each other's freedom because you are afraid of losing the love you feel around each other. But something ironic happens when you try to possess and restrict something. In doing so, the love that you feel from that thing or person reduces. This is symbolized by the analogy of wild flowers. You may see flowers growing in the wild that you feel joyful around. Now, your ego may try to possess these flowers as it wants this joy feeling to last. So it will want you to pick the flowers and put it in a vase at home. But when you have picked the flowers now start their dying process. So because of the ego's selfishness and possessiveness, it has killed what it wants to possess, and it has prevented other people from enjoying the beauty of the flowers while they are on their walk in nature. This is similar to what happens in monogamous relationships. Once you enter into commitment, the flirty, joyful, playful, experimental, sexual stage of the relationship starts dying, and the relationship becomes more dull, serious, and predictable. Because you look to that one person as your main source of feeling love, you start developing expectations of them so that you continue feeling love around them, which is a way the ego tries to control them. And when the other person doesn't fulfill those expectations, you become angry and resent them because they have not met the conditions you have put on the love you feel around them. And this anger often builds into resentment of the other. Sound familiar? And by making someone yours, you prevent others from enjoying the full experience of that person. But you see, for true unconditional love and connection to blossom, there must be total freedom. Freedom and unconditional love are two sides of the same coin. When someone tries to restrict your freedom in any way, you know that they do not unconditionally love you. At best, they only love you for what you can give them. When non-monogamy is done properly, all parties have total freedom to connect with whoever they want, whenever they want. If you truly love a person, you want them to experience as much joy as possible. And if they experience joy through connecting with other people, then why would you want to restrict that if you truly want them to be joyful? You see, an ego would have you believe that if someone you're intimately connected to wants to intimately connect with someone else, that must mean they don't love you, right? So it only wants the other person to experience joy and love around you and no one else. But that is based on this belief that love is limited. In reality, your ego is just hurt because it no longer feels special, reducing its power. If you have a child and you love them dearly, and then you have another child. Do you love your first child any less now? Of course not. And the same can be said when it comes to intimate relationships. When all parties give each other the freedom to connect with whoever they want, whenever they want, it creates an environment of unconditional love and freedom. It also ensures intimate relationships remain in the playful, flirty, joyful, experimental, sexual stage, as there are no commitments to each other. And with no commitments to each other, there is this feeling that any relationship can be very short term or long term. You never know when it will end. And so it challenges all parties to not attach to each other. A great spiritual challenge. With no attachments, no one tries to control another, and there are no expectations of each other. Without the commitments of monogamy that tries to make love more secure, one is challenged to find love within oneself. In non-monogamy, you are challenged not to rely on anyone to feel love, because if you do, you will experience a lot of heartbreak. For instance, if you're desiring to feel love, but the people you are in an intimate relationship with are with other people at that time, then you have two options. Either you feel like a victim who is not loved, or you go within to remember the love that you are. And so, while on the surface, non-monogamy seems like a way to experience more love from others, which it is even more about going within to find the love that you are seeking. And your desire for anything can only really be fulfilled when you find it within yourself. With monogamy, you do not have that same motivation to go within to find what you're looking for, because you can easily turn to your partner to provide it. And when you are able to find anything that you would like to experience within you, you no longer depend on others for anything, and so your intimate relationships are not based on codependency. With monogamy, there often tends to be this air of needing the other person, and that really disempowers you as the one infinite creator. All intimate relationships can be mutually beneficial for one's spiritual progress. Each person you encounter, whether you enter an intimate relationship with them or not, act as mirrors to you. They are usually over-exaggerated reflections of either qualities within you that need healing or qualities that you would like to strengthen within yourself. When you intimately connect with someone, there are much greater opportunities for accelerated spiritual growth and healing of both parties. Now, if you are in a monogamous relationship, you close yourself off to almost all these opportunities, where only your partner is your main teacher. But what happens when you have learned what you needed to learn from them? If you remain monogamous, you can become more stagnant. With non-monogamy, you open yourself up to as many opportunities for growth and healing as possible, as well as more opportunities to teach others and share your wisdom. This ensures continued accelerated growth for all. When you intimately connect with more people, you generally just learn a lot more, and you have a lot of fun while doing so. Anything that restricts your ability to intimately connect with, flirt with, laugh with, experiment with, play with, and yes, have sex with any being that you would like to do those things with, creates a blockage in your sacral chakra. And blockages in your sacral chakra reduce the amount of joy you generally feel in life. With non-monogamy, you free your sacral chakra, and so you experience more joy, another spiritual benefit. When you connect with someone, if you are fully present, then you don't connect with them as a person who is single or taken or married or even non-monogamous. You interact as life itself. The present moment connects with itself through two illusory forms. However, if you connect with someone while feeling yourself as taken or married, that means you are not fully present. You are identifying with the character of not being single, and this character has been created by entering into a monogamous partnership with your partner in the past. But when you are in front of someone else, your partner isn't there. When you are fully present, you and your immediate surroundings are all that exist. There is no thought of the past, no thought of what will happen in the future, and no thought of anything or anyone that isn't right here, right now. There is just what life wants to do through you now. So to remain monogamous, you must be somewhat still attached to the past, thinking it is real. Non-monogamy encourages you to let the past and future go, let your character go, and focus only on what is right here, right now. And anything that thrusts you into the present moment is a spiritual tool. With monogamy, you search for someone who you'd like to commit to for a long time. This means that that person must be someone you'd want to live with, perhaps have children with, take to your parents, marry, etc. And so you start making a mental checklist of the kind of things someone must fulfill in order to be a potential life partner. As a result, you close yourself off from intimately connecting with those who do not meet all your criteria, and you can spend a long time trying to find the so-called one. Now, with non-monogamy, you give yourself the freedom to connect with a lot more people than if you were monogamous. You no longer have such a huge checklist because you are not really looking for someone to live with, have sex with, marry, or show to your parents. You just enjoy the opportunity to deeply connect with anyone, even if it doesn't involve any physical intercourse. You simply follow whoever life draws you towards, letting life decide for you who to connect with. A very surrendered approach. So you end up intimately connecting with people that you wouldn't choose to connect with if you were monogamous. For instance, with non-monogamy, you give yourself the freedom to connect with people who don't even speak the same language as you. There is great joy and beauty in intimately connecting with different types of people, even for the duration of dancing to just one song together, that monogamous people miss out on because they are searching for the one. As you can see, there are so many spiritual and joyful benefits to being non-monogamous, and none of those really involve physical sex at all. However, the final spiritual benefit of non-monogamy that we would like to mention in this video is about sex, but not in the way you might think. When you are in a monogamous relationship, at the beginning, much sexual energy arises between you and your partner. There is a strong sexual charge, but as you make more and more commitments to each other and expectations of each other start forming, the sexual charge between you both gradually reduces. After years of marriage, you may become uninterested in sex with each other, and since you have committed to not being intimate with anyone else, you are motivated to suppress any sexual energy that arises within you when around others, or you release it through masturbation, and so your sacral chakra ends up becoming very dim. With non-monogamy, without the commitments and expectations, and with more people you are free to connect with, you keep your sacral chakra alive and excited with sexual energy. Now, with more sexual energy arising within your being, you have the opportunity to let that sexual energy rise up your energy system instead of projecting it out of you through a sexual orgasm. Of course, many non-monogamous people don't do this, but some do. And when more sexual energy flows through your being, you are able to raise your vibration, heal more quickly, and generally experience the orgasmic nature of life more. Not only can you heal yourself with sexual energy, but if you know what you are doing, you can use tantric techniques to build up sexual energy within the other person and help them heal too. With non-monogamy, you have the opportunity to help more people to heal in this way. However, some non-monogamous people just use all this extra sexual energy to have more sexual intercourse, which is not wrong or bad at all, but they just rob themselves of the many spiritual and healing benefits of that sexual energy. With all that being said, you might be wondering if non-monogamy is for you. We are not saying that it is for everyone. Ultimately, it is one route to cutting attachments, being more present, dropping your ego character, surrendering, ending your dependency on others, and remembering the unconditional love that you are. It requires deep healing work on yourself, and your ego will get badly hurt by the experience. But if you are someone who is proactive with your healing and growth, and you welcome any opportunity to detach from your ego, then this will actually be a very enjoyable experience for you. If you are someone who isn't really spiritually proactive and wants more of an easy, stable, comfortable, so-called normal life, then perhaps non-monogamy is not for you right now. Perhaps your current life path and role doesn't involve becoming non-monogamous, and that's more than okay. But eventually, each soul will enter into non-monogamy as it realizes the truth of oneness more and more, and maybe in this life or a future one. When life deems you ready for non-monogamy, it will create the situation that nudges you into it. For instance, you might be in a stable monogamous relationship, and then suddenly you meet someone else you deeply connect with, yet you're still in love with your partner, so you might feel monogamy no longer makes sense to you. Or perhaps life might keep drawing you to non-monogamous people. Or perhaps monogamy suddenly no longer resonates with your being upon remembering oneness. or your partner may suddenly decide that they now want to be non-monogamous. Just know that if these kinds of nudges are happening, then you are likely now ready to explore non-monogamy. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. We are sure many of you will have many questions and comments regarding this topic, so feel free to leave a message in the comments below and we will reply to them.